Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about climate. CNN has some impressive new fake news about climate. We've been getting slammed with record snow here in Colorado this year and for the past several years. The ski season here in Colorado used to run for 4 months from December through March, but now it's running more like 8 months of the year. Last year people were still skiing in July, and we just had a record month for snow. I took this picture west of Boulder on the first full day of summer last year. Snowpack in the upper Colorado River Basin has been above normal for 4 out of the last 7 years. So how did CNN report on this good news? They said, the Colorado River, which provides water to more than 40 million people from Denver to Los Angeles, has seen its flow dwindle by 20% compared to the last century, and scientists have found that climate change is mainly to blame. When journalists use words like scientists say or scientists have found, you can be about 97% certain that what you're about to read is fake news. Let's look at the first sentence. The Colorado River, which provides water to more than 40 million people from Denver to Los Angeles. Now let's look at a map of the Rocky Mountains. The red line on this map is the Continental Divide Trail. The Colorado River is on the west side of the Continental Divide and it flows into the Pacific Ocean. But Denver is on the east side of the Continental Divide, so how does it get Colorado River water? Starting around the year 1930, they built a series of huge tunnels which bring Colorado River water from the western slope over to the thirsty plains on the east side. As much as 65% of the stream flow in the Colorado River gets diverted away to the other side of the Continental Divide. This, of course, causes a huge depletion in the amount of water flowing down the Colorado River. This graph shows the Colorado River natural water flow above Lake Powell in Utah. Natural water flow meaning the amount of water which would be in the river if it wasn't being stored or released by dams. It does not, however, make any adjustments for diversions of water across the Continental Divide. The red line is the 10-year mean. You can see that there's a lot of year-over-year variability based on the height of the columns. You can also see that after the 1920s, there was a sharp drop-off in Colorado River flow. There was some more decline through the 1950s, but over the last 60 years, there has been no trend in Colorado River water. As they built more and more diversion structures in the 1930s, 1940s, and 1950s, more water was transported from the Colorado River over to the eastern slope of the Rockies. But CNN claims that the smaller water flow now than it was a century ago is due to climate change. And they found some people whom they call scientists to back them up on this nonsense. It has nothing to do with climate. I moved to Colorado 25 years ago, and there's no indication that there's been a reduction in snowfall. In Boulder last year we had 39 snowy days, which was second highest on record. And this year we're having so much snow that I've chosen to become a global warming refugee in Costa Rica next week. But CNN knows that their readers and viewers will generally believe their propaganda. Tree ring studies for the last 1,200 years show that the western U.S. used to be much drier. The West used to get 200-year-long droughts, which were considered to be natural. But now when we get a drought for a year or two, it's believed to be man-made. This was a very good article from the New York Times in 1992, back when they occasionally still reported actual science. In unexpected places, clues to ancient and future climate. Warming? Tree rings say, not yet. The wood tells of volcanic eruptions tossing kilotons of ash and sulfur high into the stratosphere, of flash floods and pitiless frosts, of ancient droughts in what is now the western United States that lasted for centuries and surpassed in extremity anything modern Californians, despite all they know about water rationing, can even begin to fathom. Lisa Gromlich, who examines the ring patterns of foxtail pine trees and western junipers in the Sierra Nevada, has compiled a detailed record of the year-to-year variation in temperature and precipitation over the last 1,000 years. She has seen in the North American trees the feathery but unmistakable signatures of the medieval warm period, an era from 1100 to 1375 AD, when, according to European writers of the time and other sources, the climate was so balmy that wine grapes flourished in Britain, and the Vikings farmed the now frozen expanse of Greenland. She also saw in the tree rings the Little Ice Age, a stretch of abnormally frigid weather lasting from 1450 to 1850. And this is the key sentence from the article. We can now see that the medieval warm period and the Little Ice Age were global climate phenomena, not regional variations. This completely destroyed the basis of global warming alarmism. So climate scientists jumped into action. Dr. David Deming, a geologist from the University of Oklahoma, testified to Congress in 2006 that around the year 1995, he was approached by a major climate researcher. The researcher said to him, "We have to get rid of the medieval warm period." This graph from the 1990 UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report showed very clearly the medieval warm period and the Little Ice Age. But by 1998, Michael Mann had erased both the medieval warm period and the Little Ice Age and replaced them with the hockey stick. Michael Mann has made lots of money by committing one of the greatest frauds in science history, and the press treats him as one of their sole authorities for having done this. 4 years ago, the New York Times, Governor Jerry Brown, and Wired magazine announced the California permanent drought. And a few months later, California had their wettest winter on record. They had so much rain and snow that winter that the Oroville Dam nearly collapsed. But let's go back to the Colorado River now. Colorado River water is down from a century ago because the water is being diverted across the mountains to the Front Range. Here's an article from Mashable from a few years ago. The Colorado River is evaporating and climate change is largely to blame. In the article they say, over the last century the river's flow has declined by around 16%, even as annual precipitation slightly increased. They claim that as precipitation increased, river flow is down, and it's due to climate change. So according to their thinking, if we got twice as much precipitation, the river would probably dry up completely. And if we look at who's behind this nonsense, it's a Colorado State University scientist named Brad Udall. Anyone who's lived in the Southwest for a long time is very familiar with the name Udall and with that look. The Udalls are a well-known family of carpetbagging global warming politicians who've spread over the Southwest over the last few decades. A few years ago, we got rid of one of the Udalls as our senator here in Colorado. His brother Tom Udall is still senator from New Mexico, however, and he believes that global warming has ruined New Mexico's scheme. This is what Taos Ski Valley looks like this morning. It doesn't look particularly ruined. Jeff Bezos just announced billions of dollars for climate scientists. I'm not going to get any of that money for telling the truth about climate. All of the money is going to go to climate alarmists, which leads to propaganda like this. Climate scientists understand that they get paid to spread propaganda. They have lots of money, but we have something much more powerful. We have actual science. Visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com. He's been pulling back the curtain on junk science and propaganda for a long time.